What's up, everybody? How's it going? I am live, Crypto Sloth, with my man, this way, Corey Geary in the house. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, my friend? Just loving the beautiful life out here in Puerto Rico, man. The weather's amazing. I might go to the beach later, just having a great time. Love Saturdays, man. They're so chill. I just woke up from a nap like literally an hour ago. Having some green
I just woke up from a nap too.
Having a little green tea to help wake me up and get me going. But man, super stoked, and we're kind of pumping today. Huh.
That's kind of weird. It doesn't feel right. That's not what's supposed to happen. Weren't we just supposed to be losing money, Corey? Isn't that what's supposed to be happening?
I got used to waking up every single day and seeing negative 5%, negative 20%, negative 70%, negative 18%. And I'm like, we're positive today. And but yeah, man, someone's been buying up PHEX like crazy today. I guess there's two wallets that are doing it. And of course, it's dragging up a lot of the other assets in the ecosystem, which is always a blessing via, hard slaw. But man, yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Even it's funny kind of looking at the chart because we've gone down so much. We're like on the log chart, a 25% pump doesn't look like all that much, which is really, it's just kind of funny to see because I see 25% pump. It should be this big candle, and it's like just this little blip. It's kind of funny, but it is nice.
Man, we have taken a lot of damage in the last couple of weeks.
It's nice to see a little bit of life in the ecosystem, and it's nice to know that people are still. There are people with decent bags still looking to accumulate, and we're getting to that point where now's the time to get large positions across the ecosystem.
You could whatever asset you like, and especially if you like EHEX, but you really could accumulate a lot right now. I mean, I'm big on the node validators. That's my favorite thing right now. I geek over that stuff. And you could pick up, I think the last time it was yesterday, you could have picked them up for about $1,100 per node validator, which is absolutely bananas, man. I mean, $1,100, and you earn anywhere from 15% to 20% APY, depending on the ecosystem and what it's doing. I think the last time I checked, I was earning like 16.5. And man, it's just, it's bananas, $1,100.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Ethereum, if you want to be a validator, you need 32 ETH, and that's going to cost you somewhere around 50 grand for one.
Yep. And that APY is 4%. And so, when you're thinking about absolute terms, you having to put in 50 grand to get 4%, or you can put in 1 grand to get 12 to 16%, like you were saying. It's well, you just bring your 50 grand over to the place where you get the more APY.
Oh man, it's a no-brainer for me. And you're rather liquid. Yes, it takes about 24 hours to get everything kind of unwound, but in general, you're rather liquid, man. And so earning 15% on a very, a liquid asset in a layer one for me, man, is just music to my ears, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, and the scalability of owning the validators is pretty awesome from what I hear too. You can fit a lot of validators on a single device. So you're not as bogged down by actual physical space, having to set up a whole freaking warehouse to be able to actually put in a lot of
Alex.
money into validators. Yeah, like Alex. You don't have to build a warehouse like Alex to participate.
Yeah, no, you don't gotta have the wizard beard to run a few node validators. Now, all the other stuff Alex does, you probably do need to have the wizard beard.
Yeah, but yeah, Corey, I'm really glad to have you on, man. I know you've come on a couple times, just kind of impromptu, but I'm glad we got a show dedicated to a good conversation between us. I've been enjoying the show that you and Dan have been putting out recently. You guys are kind of coming up on the Hex content, Hex Pulsechain content streams. So and I've always try to catch you guys whenever you're live, or at the very least the replay. And I'm
try
excited
to give our best perspective. We try to cut through the narratives. We try to give our own, unbiased opinions. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what we talk about is not necessarily what people want to hear, but that's fine too, because it's it's what we believe and what we do, and it's how we act with our bags. And it's been a great show though. We started that show, man, was in funny story. It was in December. I think it was November or December of last year. And we started it when Hex, when it hit its first all-time low. Obviously now we have a new all-time low, but then it was like 1.6 or 1.7 cents. And me and Dane did it just for our own, for our own peace of mind. Because it was there was a lot of negativity in the community. Just like now, there was a lot of flood all over Twitter, and everyone just tearing each other apart. I was like, no, and it was actually Dane's idea. He called me up one day and he's like, "Hey man, let's just start a YouTube show." I'm like, "Okay, let's." I mean,
why not?
Try it.
Yeah. So I know I found you guys fairly early, you had a couple hundred subscribers, and I always catch you guys live right after I finish my first patient of the day. Usually you guys you're wrapping up. So on my way to lunch, I'll turn you guys on. I think you guys see me in the chat every time.
We do.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, how's that been? How have you enjoyed going from community member kind of more in the background, and now you're putting content out there, you're kind of rubbing elbows with more of the influencer community some more. How's that been?
It's cool, man. It's cool. It's it definitely has its accolades, and it's done some great things for me. I mean, me being out here in Puerto Rico, if it wasn't for me doing the show and kind of getting some kind of people knowing us from the show, like when I came out here, it was easily to find all the Hexicans. I see Franklin's in the in the chat. I linked up with Franklin. He's out here, and so that made it easier to do this whole transition, this move. That I did. I just moved here about 3 months ago.
Yeah, and, from what I hear, you're loving it.
I love it, dude. Yeah, I love it. The family loves it. It's an absolute blast, man. It's we were in Arizona just a few weeks ago, taking care of a few things before we moved out here. Literally, I'll walk outside with my 2-year-old, and in Phoenix, if you guys don't know, we can get up to 120 degrees in midday in the summertime. Yeah, it's brutal. But I would walk out with my daughter, man, and immediately as I walk out of the house, she starts crying. It's like I can walk out of the house here and she's not gonna cry. Yes, it's humid, but
it's the small things in life, right?
It's the small things in life, man. It really is. And so, yeah, man, we got we ended up getting a bigger house out here that we have in Arizona. We kind of live in the suburbial part of Puerto Rico. It's about 40 minutes out of San Juan, place called Dorado. And it's great, man. We're 5 minutes away from the beach. I love scuba diving. I'm going to be going scuba diving while I'm out here. I love hiking. I love the whole outdoorsy stuff. I used to surf way back in the day. I don't know if I can still. I need to try to pick it up again, but that's something I'll end up flirting with sooner or later again. And man, yeah, it's great here, dude. Come out and visit, man. There's a lot of Hexicans that live on the island.
Yeah, I would not mind taking a little trip to Puerto Rico to hang out with you guys. Sounds like fun. Use it, take a break from my studies.
Yeah, do it. You'd want to do it though after, I would say, anytime November or after, because right now is technically the hurricane season, and a lot of the Hexicans leave the island during this time. So this year I have to be here during the hurricane season just because I got to get my days in it. And if anybody doesn't know, if you're trying to do the Puerto Rico thing, you don't pay taxes, but you have to serve 183 days or be on the island 183 days out of the year. And I came late, so I had to like get all my days in this year. Otherwise, I'll probably leave in the hurricane season. So
that's all right. You'll get it in, and then you'll be able to peace out.
Next year, right? Dude, I'll have next year it'll be whatever.
Hey, maybe we'll have a couple extra green candles on top of it.
I'm confident in it, man. I really feel like we just need market sentiment to kind of turn around. That's one big thing. And man, I'm confident. It's man. I still feel I believe, man, we are in the right place at the right time.
Well, I think that's a good conversation to bring up because amongst all of the the SEC FUD, major prices go down and like into territories where most altcoins don't recover from. Once you start flirting with that 95% plus dip, like you start getting into a range of you start entering a graveyard where a bunch of tokens have not been able to get out of yet. And then you add on top of that, dividing up the buying pressure between multiple coins, et cetera, what makes you still say that this is the place to be? Why do you think that?
Yeah, well, okay. So for one, if I were to take all the economic energy in the RH ecosystem, and put it together, because we haven't brought in any real new money yet. We haven't brought in retail because retail's not here yet. It's in the time for retail. We're still basing this off of the one community. If I combine all that community together, and I'm talking about, so that's going to include both hexes, that's going to include Pulse, it's going to include PulseX. If I combine it together, we're not 99% down or even 98% down. We're probably something in the weeds of like 80 something. I would have to do the math to see what the market cap is. You could probably base it off like hexes from when it's high, the 50 cents market cap, to what our market cap as a whole is right now. To me, that's really what we're down. And that is, it's because we can't bring new money in quite yet. We're not during that time or that period where it's sexy to get into crypto. Crypto looks dead to the media. I mean, every other thing on the news right now is bad news about the crypto space. And so we need the leaders, or the leaders being Bitcoin and Ethereum, to start picking up their pace and bringing in liquidity to the marketplace before we start seeing new money come into our ecosystem. So I don't believe that we're 99.9% down. I know you can look at just the EHEX chart, right? You pull just that chart up and you measure it from the all-time high, what you see all the fudsters doing on Twitter. It's not accurate. That's not an accurate gauge of where we're sitting right now, in my opinion. It's just not. And if we were really dead, we wouldn't be waking up for naps and seeing 20%, 30% pumps, right? It's just, and we're talking about some big money. There was big money being bought today. And I mean, so that's my 2 cents in it, man. And I just, the whole SEC thing, look, everything right now in the crypto space is being targeted by the SEC. Cardano's being targeted. Solana's being targeted. They just came out with a list. Remember before we got announced, there was like a list of 60 different altcoins that were all being targeted by the SEC. So it's like everybody's being targeted right now. So that's one. Two, everyone's like, oh, well, we're going to be muted like XRP. Okay, well, let's look at some of the things about XRP. One, XRP was not completely muted. It did a 10x after the SEC FUD came out. It did a 10x in that bull run. Two, it has I don't know what the market cap of XRP is, but I know it's massively huge. It's way bigger than ours, right? Yeah. It's way bigger. It's harder for XRP to move up. So, and it still did a 10x with the SEC cloud hanging above it. And then three, the main way people buy XRP is through centralized exchanges. That's the main way people onboard through that crypto. And when the SEC came out, I know they stopped all the centralized exchanges from basically from the retail or from people in the States anyways of buying it. Well, we don't have that issue. Like we've never, I mean, we were on OKX and they delisted us. Okay. Maybe that's why we saw another 10 or 15% price drop yesterday or the day before yesterday. Maybe, I don't know. Right. Maybe that FUD affected us a little bit, but that's not a problem we have. It never has been when we're a hex. Hex has never been listed on centralized exchanges. Like, you have to know DeFi to get into Hex. I mean, it's just, so those are I really believe, man, that we are going to be in a good shape and that we have a bright future. And that's nothing to say all with, what could or could not happen with RH, whether he's going to fight them or not, or he's going to end up settling. I don't know. That's still all remain to be unseen, man. But I've got a lot of faith and confidence in this ecosystem, man. And there is no community like our community, man. I mean, we have some of the brightest, smartest, just loyal. And I mean, I'm truly blessed to be here, because I always say I want to be the dumbest person in the room. Man, I feel that way in this community. It's amazing. I mean, you're like the giga brain. Like, you're the only reason why I was able to understand Icosa and Hedron and the auctions and everything that goes on behind the curtains to a deep level. Was watching your stuff, because, man, there's no easy game theory to that ecosystem. That's all pretty. I
appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think like Franklin said, that was well said, man. And I'll give you my 2 cents. And my reason, the big reason why I think this is still the place to be, or the biggest evidence, in my opinion, for why this will stick around and do well later, is more on the community side of things.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, we can look at the chart and you see all the blood and be like, man, things must be like just an absolute disarray. But not much in terms of like what I see on like YouTube and Twitter has changed all that much. The same people are still streaming, the more conversations are happening, and then even newfound confidence in the system is being kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A newfound confidence in the system is being found amongst the community members, again, amongst this crazy downturn. And this is the first time Hex has really been tested by a bear market, in terms of its own bear market, where it's had highs and now it's lost those highs and gone to lows.
Yeah.
And so seeing the community stick around and rally behind it, despite what would normally break communities and end entire ecosystems, the foundation that the community is setting is going to allow it to survive in a manner in which that will allow it to thrive later on, in my opinion.
100%.
Like, yeah. And even for me, like, with each leg down, it kind of like makes you think again. It's like, man, am I really in the right place? Do I really believe in this thing? To double down, or at the very least hold. And every single time I've come back to like, yeah, there really isn't another place I would want to be outside of this specific ecosystem.
I mean, it's painful. It is. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to feel good when you're when you're in a bear market and your portfolio's going down. But this is how we earn our stripes. I mean, everyone in the community wants 100x or even 1,000x. Like, everyone, you see people screaming, they want this, but they don't want to do the work that's involved to get it. This is the work, man. You have to. This is how you're going to get your 1,000x. Is you got to sit through the freaking beating. That thing in life is easy. Go try building a business. That sucks too. This sucks too. Like, if you want the mad gains, you got to go through the BS to get there. And this is it. We're earning our stripes right now. The guys who are sitting around, the holders, the DCAers. I know some people might not be able to DCA. They're out of dry powder. That's fine. Just by holding, you're still believing in the ecosystem. You're still supporting the price chart. Those people, our community who is still around, still sticking through this, they're the ones that are going to get the 100x. You know what I mean? Yep. Not financial advice. I'm just a dude on the internet, but that's what I truly believe. Down in, maybe even 1,000x. Who knows? Who knows? We could be real speculative, right? It's
well, what's nice to see here, and this is from Gerardo's site, looking at Hex, and Sami's brought this up, but like, we still have a positive trend in adoption despite all of these, everything that's going on. It looks like maybe it's rounding off or going even a little bit towards the end here, but it's still trending up. Like, there isn't like you don't see a big change in the slope of this line at any point, despite a whole bull market happening in this period of time right here, Right. So in terms of bringing people on in adoption, it's the same context that we've had even before. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree 100%, man. It's I'm excited.
Me too. I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna be the conversations that we'll have. Let's say both hexes break all time highs. Pulsechain is a couple X's above sack rate. We have all of the DeFi stuff unlocked and up and running, and they're doing well. The conversations we're going to be having then, we'll be reminiscing about. Remember when everything was, all of the red and blood everywhere?
It's going to be much different, that's for sure. And another thing that gives me a surety, and you kind of reminded me of it, is all the building that we have inside the ecosystem, right?
Yep.
Everything that's rolling out. We're about to have our own little miniature DeFi summer, or by the time it actually happens, it might be DeFi fall. But because we have the Oracle coming out, and then once the Oracle comes, then you have like all the PH set coming out. You got Alex, man. He's creating this whole brand new interoperability type contract where it doesn't matter if you have Hedron or Icosa on Ethereum or Pulsechain, we can go ahead and still utilize it the exact same. And I'm super stoked for what he's creating, man. And people have not stopped building, and they're still pushing forward in this bear market. And that gives me such a surety. It's that is going to drive this home. Like people say, oh, well, RH is not streaming and he's not being the leader. Well, he can't because he's got, all these lawyers telling him he can't. Well, what's happening is that community members are picking the bull by its horns and dragging it through to the finish line. Maybe RH can come, back in a year from now, maybe 6 months from now, who knows, and help. But right now, man, the community members are doing a great job.
Oh, 100%. And, it can't be understated how important it is to have people like Alex, Dipcatcher, the Fux team, Liquid Loans, Power City. Like, these are people who are investing, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and some of them a decent amount of money, to build things on top of Pulsechain, right? And they wouldn't be doing that unless that they thought there was actual opportunity unless there was opportunity to capitalize on. Like I think a lot of the reason why Buck is building the PH ecosystem is because he believes he's basically building the first buildings in like the future Manhattan, right? Like he is trying to get and capture that market share, that digital real estate on Pulsechain where he's a mainstay, so that most of the volume that's coming through Pulsechain is he's getting a significant chunk of that. Right, like that's what I believe a lot of these people are doing. They believe that Pulsechain is going to be a huge blockchain, at least one of the main contenders amongst all of the L1s, and they're trying to get their piece of the pie. And the people who do that now are the people who get that real estate forever. Like it's just from like a branding perspective, a meme perspective. Like the people who win now will win forever as long as Pulsechain wins. And just to know that that there are people who recognize that opportunity kind of presupposes a little bit the strength within the community. And it's good for us, right? Like there's only so much interesting things that happen with Hex, Pulsechain, and PulseX, right? Like they're kind of finished stuff in a lot of ways. There's not any updates or things to pay attention to, or even really many opportunities just amongst those three coins, or at least the opportunity is limited. So that it's highly competitive. But now you add this complexity, you add these extra protocols, extra mechanics that adds more opportunity, adds more things to talk about for people who stream like us. And it gives more things for the community to rally behind, and also more buttons to click, which a lot of people like.
We all like that, man. I mean, we were talking about before the show how me and you like that. Now, obviously, I haven't been pushing the button as quickly as I normally do because, I just don't like looking at the portfolio when it's going, negative. But I mean, I did it today, man. I went and I compounded my Fux rewards today.
Yeah.
I was looking at my Icosa and Hedron stakes. I'm letting them ride right now. I'm not recompounding. But I was going in there and looking at all of them and figuring out, how much I got there, and kind of thinking through a game, a game theory strat. I was trying to figure out if I was going to compound or not. I'm not going to. I decided not to. I'm just going to hold it and let them. I don't know if that's what your thoughts are of that.
I'm in the same boat. I'm just letting them. I'm letting the minimum time end, and then I'm letting it just ride out and grabbing whatever yield comes. Just because I don't. we're in such an interesting time with all of these DeFi protocols launching on Pulsechain that I want to stay liquid with these coins that are probably going to be the ones that gain utility amongst the protocols, right? So I think Fux is a good example. Fux is a great example where, like, if you were early in that Alex Hedron pool, you were earning some pretty good APRs and dominating.
It's still pretty good. It's like 200%.
It's still one of the better pools to throw your money into. And so I want to just stay flexible and be able to take advantage of any opportunities that come along that I might need my Hedron or Icosa for. So I'm not looking to do, and honestly, the compounding isn't that big of a deal for me all that much. I'd rather have the coins liquid. Like the Hedron and Icosa stakes are really powerful because they are passive. They are income generating assets that are liquid, right? Like you can end those things immediately at any point you want and get all of that yield and your principal back as long as you serve the minimum time length. And that's a really powerful place to be in.
It is.
Income on the side, but then if you need to say take profits or you need to sell, you can. And I don't want to lose that flexibility quite yet. I just don't. I'm not ready to commit to another because I like to do the 6-month lockups if I can.
Yeah.
Like my Hedron gives me. I do 90 days, and then my Icosa ones I try to aim for the 6 months. And I don't want to lock up for 6 months, at least right now. Maybe later. Who knows?
Do you know what the APY is currently right now?
I don't. I haven't kept track of that too much. It's pretty low. It's low. I wouldn't be surprised if it was low double digits, like 10, 20%.
Okay. I might take some out and put it in that in the Alex pool. And I have a little bit there now, but definitely could use a little more beefing up. I mean, for 200%, bro, that is fire.
Yeah. And that's 200% with the PHUX token being down so much. It's almost round tripped.
Everything's been getting crushed with the whole entire ecosystem. It's like no one's gotten out of their ass beating out of this one.
Everyone's been caught with their pants down at this point.
Oh man.
But it's gonna. I like that dynamic with like PHUX and Fiat and eventually Famous, where you can earn APRs with like these Hedron and Icosa stuff, where there's now competition with the native staking pool. So it'll pull some competition away from the native staking to get into these other yield generating platforms, and then that'll bump up the native APRs a little bit because there's less competition. Right. So having just that another source of yield for these tokens is cannot be understated, and I think that'll really shine come bull market time.
Cool, man. I love it.
But yeah, what else are you looking at right now, man? What's got you excited right now?
I mean, that's my big play, man, is stacking node validators. That's my favorite. Obviously, I am participating some in the third-party protocols. The most recent I did participate a little bit in was the Pitius, I think it's called Pitius Index Aggregator.
Disaggregator, yeah.
I really liked the fact that they led with a 1 foot forward because they came out with a product first for the community to use and every time I used it, I always got better order execution than any other DEX I was using. And then they came out and said, hey, we're also going to have a SAC if you want to participate. And so like, I love the idea that they came out with a product first. That not many projects in our ecosystem have done that yet to kind of show a good faith. Because obviously it cost them a little bit of money to put that product up and out there, and they did that. And now there's gonna be a token associated that will have a passive income, some type of like, I don't know, probably earning fees or something that will be paid to the stakers or whatever. But I participated a little bit in that just because the way they presented themselves.
Yeah, well, I imagine you're able to get a pretty decent chunk of that total supply because I don't think their sacrifice was too huge.
That was the other sexy part I liked about it, is that like a little bit of economic energy went a long ways there. And like, I'm like you, and in fact, I kind of learned this from you, is I always want to like achieve a certain sea creature, right? Whether it's a dolphin or a shark, or depending on how much I like the protocol. And I was very easily to obtain a shark status in that. In that project. So we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, and yeah, I don't know how much was totally raised. I know it wasn't a lot. And
Yeah, I really like that framing, the aquatic animals framing. It really helps kind of contextualize how much you want to accumulate and how much you need. And it helps you, like, for opportunities like this, decide if it's worth it. It's like, whoa, for like $1,000, I can get this huge position in the whole ecosystem. Well, maybe it's worth a punt, right? And then it also kind of gives you a little bit of confidence to hold, because like, hey, this size of a position has power, and this thing ever takes off, you're able to unlock so much, whatever that protocol or ecosystem offers. You're able to unlock so much of that value just by having that big position.
That's why I like it, man, because obviously if you go and try to be a shark, even in today's value, go try to be a shark in Hex. It's going to be a lot of money, even in today's value. I think obviously not as much as it was, but it's still a lot of money. But like something like Piteous, I mean, you could be a shark. You could have been a shark for a couple grand, right? And so it's like it's a world of difference, and you can see, like you said, if it really takes off, man, you're gonna be really happy. That's for sure.
Yeah. And in my opinion, and this is something I'm going to talk about in my course, because I'm in the middle of my fundamentals course right now for the people in my Telegram group. But this is what I'm going to talk a little bit about tomorrow. How, like, I talked about it today, the aquatic animals and how I use it to frame like capital allocation. But then tomorrow I'm going to talk about like why that's important in terms of what I was saying just recently, obtaining power in the system. Because like it's going to be hard if something's really successful to exit a shark position. Like if something's like wildly successful and you're a shark, like you're going to destroy the price chart. And then we see that now in like Hex. And like you don't really want to do that. But if these things have high volume and people are trading it and people want it, and say it's like a fee generating asset, like Piteous might be, or the loan token, or any of these a lot of the tokens that are coming out of fee generating tokens protocols, and the tokens give you the access to those fees, right? So that's inherent demand to these tokens. And if you have a large percent of the supply, well, you own a large percent of the fees, but also the LPing on that can be very lucrative too. So like you're really setting yourself up to LP on a big bag that has a nice paper value worth. And if you can LP on a high paper value worth, that result of the APR in absolute terms is higher. And that's a fancy way of saying 10% on $1,000 is much less than 10% on $1 million, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man, it's super, super exciting. I love that. Our ecosystem, you kind of pointed something out there, and I don't really see this. You see it a little bit in Ethereum, but our ecosystem focuses its coins where it's almost like you hold shares in a company. So like there's a company being built. The company has a way to make profit, right? Like anything else, company's got to make profit to survive. There's a P&L, there's a cash flow, there's everything that a company needs to be successful, and people can buy the shares in that company and receive dividend. Just like a Coca-Cola. If you go buy Coca-Cola stock, you can receive dividends every quarter from the company. Well, our ecosystem is really being built out around that model, which is super effing cool, dude, because all these fees, or at least most, sometimes there's different variations, but the majority of them are paid to the community members, because in DeFi, there is no CEO. In DeFi, there's no management team. In DeFi, you don't have all this overhead that needs to be paid. Usually the overhead's on the front end. That's it. After that, I mean, sometimes you have to keep a dev or two around, but most of the time there's not this massive overhead like a brick and mortar business, right? And so it's really interesting how our entire ecosystem is shaping out around that model. And that's one of the things that really attracts me about the Pulsechain ecosystem as a whole. Is that everyone's building this way, where basically there's inherent value from the cash flow.
Yeah, exactly. And something else I just thought of too, I think that was a really great point, but this is a separate point, a tangential point, kind of off what I was saying about the ability to LP very heavily with these large bags. And that's actually something that I don't think has really existed before. So one thing I like to think about is like the real winners in crypto over time are the people who bought early and held the whole way. And like that's evident by the Bitcoin and Ethereum people who have those large bags, right? And some of them won really hard. They win really hard because of the value of their bag, but some of them have won really hard because they're able to provide their coins to exchanges, and they're providing the liquidity for them to trade through. So the centralized exchange volume, they're getting a cut of the fees that are from the trading. But, just because you're a large Bitcoin or Ethereum holder doesn't mean you have access to those trading fees, because you still have to have a relationship with the SEX, with the centralized exchange. There's still a level that where the volume is not decentralized in the same way that our ecosystem is. So it doesn't matter who you are, as long as the only prerequisite is obtaining that large bag and holding it long enough for it to become that large asset, and then you can just plug in and unlock those fees through liquidity providing, right? And that's something that I don't think has existed yet,
right? Without dealing with third-party entities.
Yep, exactly. So I think it's a unique opportunity for us, more we'll say normal folk, to be able to do these really complex yielding strategies, or to get really high APRs or really good returns on our bags through liquidity providing, which hasn't existed for most people and still doesn't exist for most people, even if they have those large bags in the first place. Agreed. They're still forced to sell. And even like with Ethereum, you could provide liquidity on Uniswap and stuff with some other coins, but most of the volume for Ethereum is done on centralized exchanges. It's not done on DEXs.
Yeah, it gives the power back to the people, which is so effing cool, man. Like, we have the opportunity now to be the Coinbase. We have the opportunity to be hold shares in the Coca-Cola, if you will, and sit on the board of directors now, and vote like in Fux. You'll vote which pools are going to get the most rewards. You're kind of like on the board of directors, determining where the money's going. Like, it gives the power back to the people. DeFi really does this unlike any other thing that's ever been invented, in my opinion. It's absolutely phenomenal, man. And so it gives the opportunity, like you said earlier, us small folk who, and I'm talking about, you can be as small as even a player who has only a few $100s, the opportunity to participate in this type of stuff that only usually was reserved for the elite of elites, right? The rich of the rich is who these benefits were reserved for before in the past. It's remarkable when you look at it that way.
And I mean, even getting these APRs on a bag that's like $50,000. I'm not saying $50,000 is small, but $50,000 is small compared to the people who are doing that stuff in the TradFi world. Like $50,000 is nothing to the big institutions. It's pocket change, and not even pocket change, right? But getting 50-60% APR on $50,000 for a lot of people is a big deal, right? And 50-60% is it's not even that crazy in a lot of ways in crypto. So
and that's before price appreciation.
Yep, exactly. One more point I want to bring up on this topic, because I think we've hit on a good line of conversation, is all these fee generating platforms coming up. I bet it's really easy to sell that to the real estate people you try to get into crypto.
It's the easiest sell you could ever think of, because that's exactly how we position the conversation with these guys, because these guys understand passive income. Like, that's their favorite word, is passive income. And so now a lot of times you still have to go layers deeper with them, because like you're going to explain to them that, you can make passive income. Maybe you can make 80% APY. Maybe it's 20% APY or even 200% APY. So you have to go a layer deeper, though, and show them where the passive income comes from. So that way they're not thinking, oh, this is a freaking Ponzi, right? Like, or some kind of scam. But once you peel those layers back and show them, like, for example, in Fux, you can easily explain where the passive income is. Even in Hex, I think it's absolutely idiotic for people to call Hex a Ponzi, because I can pinpoint right where the passive income is coming from. And a Ponzi is when you're paying old money with new money, and Hex has none of that, right? Hex does have the greater fool theory, but everything in life has the greater fool theory, including real estate. Like if we had no buyers tomorrow, real estate would go to zero. But so you do have to peel the onion back a little bit and show them where the passive income comes from. But once they see it and they recognize it, they're like, I get it. Boom, they want in. Like they're ready to go. So it does take a little bit of educating, which is to be understood. But once you do that, then yeah, a lot of them, man, they love it. They absolutely love it.
Yeah, but because I know sometimes for TradFi people, it can be hard to get them to cross those mental barriers to get into crypto, because there's a lot of, it's a different world over here in crypto than it is in TradFi and in real estate. We're talking higher APRs, we're talking X's, not percents. And then you have this whole kind of, it takes some people a while to understand that the greater fool theory is everywhere, not just like
it's everywhere, man. Like one could argue, like, okay, with real estate, sure, if all the buyers go, it goes to zero, but the real estate has, value in that you can raise your family in it. But it doesn't matter. Like if I don't have a buyer on the other end when I go to sell the property, then what good is it? It's not. And that's everything we have in life and everything we do in life. If you build a business and sell the business, your business is only worth as much as the next buyer is going to pay for it. Stocks, man, there's just a bunch of fake paper people are trading around. That's one of the biggest Ponzi's. If you're going to call this, if you're going to call the greater fool a Ponzi, and it's one of the biggest ones there is the stock market game. And you have to have another buyer on the other side, and then it's ridiculous.
You could call businesses a Ponzi under that definition, because you constantly need new people coming in, giving your business money for it to sustain. If people stop participating 100%. In your business, then the business dies.
You know what's the biggest Ponzi, man, is this crap right here. This is the biggest Ponzi ever created, man, where they inflate the crap out of it. It's backed by nothing, and the only value it has is the value me and you give it. Because we're like, oh, hey, Sloth, can I buy a candy bar from you? And you're like, yeah, give me $1. And then it's like, that's why it has a value. Like, there's no other reason.
Nah, bro, I'm not giving you a candy bar for $1. You got to give me like 3 now. Like, come on. I'm not getting ripped off.
Right. Inflation. That's because of inflation.
Dude, I've noticed that recently. Like, whenever I'll go out to eat or something, I'm like, yeah, prices, like everything's just like a little, like 15% more expensive. Like, I could just, like, it's like what used to be a $10 meal is a $15 meal now. What used to be a $7 meal is like a $10 meal or something like that. It's like at one point it was like, man, that was expensive. Am I spending too much? And then I realized, like, no, everything's kind of just gone up a little bit.
Everything, but people who work 9 to 5s, their money hasn't gone up. That's like people with their incomes that hasn't gone up. That hasn't adjusted. Your boss don't come to you every year and be like, we're going to give you a 15% raise because that's our inflation raise. Oh, and you're going to make another 15% because you did good. No, that's not how this works, right? But the government, they don't care. They'll just keep printing the devaluing the dollar, and then it's our fault and make us punish for it when they inflate it too much.
It's fun. Paul Sachs, Applebee's is still Hexagon approved.
I love Applebee's, man. I love a good burger.
Okay. I'll eat their wings every once in a while. Why not?
That's it, man. That's it.
Oh man. But yeah, that's I think that was a nice little line of conversation we had there, man.
That's my rant about the freaking dollar, and that's another way we were able to get real estate people in, is we explain, how money is really, how it really works. I mean, most of them understand the fundamental part. They understand inflation, but like once you really have to tie it and bring it home, and then that's how we get them into crypto. Now, when we get them into crypto, they're not used to the volatility, and sometimes we have to like really embrace them for that. Like even recently, we've been like, understanding. Some of them are like a little bit upset about I mean, we've had a lot of volatility to the downside. And it's like, hey, look, you can stop DCAing. And then we had talked about this before the show. Like you can stop DCAing for now. And this is for anybody. If you're feeling a little bit, nervous, you can stop DCAing at this point. And what you could do is you can wait until we kind of like reach some kind of support, run sideways, and then when we start going back up, because we're not going to just shoot straight up to like 1,000x overnight. And then you can start your DCA again. Like, yes, you are going to miss the bottom if you do that, but at the very least, you're also not catching the falling knife. So it's like, which one do you want? Do you want to catch the falling knife, or do you want to miss the bottom? Like, you have to ask yourself these kind of questions as a cryptocurrency investor. And so those are some of the other discussions we have to have, just because they're not used to it, man.
Mm-hmm. And you got to really earn your stripes in this ecosystem, or at the very least know what you're getting into ahead of time. You know, it's like you have all those big flashy high APRs talking in X's, but then you feel the blood of a 90+% dip, and it's like, oh man, am I really in the right place or not? But it's like it's the framing tools of like the aquatic animals, understanding like the passive income opportunities through LPing, fee generating platforms that keeps you sticking around, because and this is what I like to say. It's like, if this hits, then I'm going to be set up really well, right? It's like when I invest into something, especially in crypto, it's on the assumption that it's going to do well. And then the part of me that doesn't want to make that assumption, that money doesn't go into it, right? So it's like, if you have $100, just for example, and my personal confidence has like, I believe with there's a 60% chance that this is going to hit well. Well, then I'll put $60 in. And then that other $40 represents the 40% of me that's uncertain about how well this thing is going to do, right? And so, but what that means is, with the money that I put in, it's with the expectation that it's going to do well. And I position myself where I position myself is on that assumption, so that whenever that comes, or if that ever comes, I'm really set up, not just from a price appreciation standpoint, but from a passive income and yielding perspective too.
Right. And you placed your bets by the percentage you give it to have success. I like that, man. I like that. I know Sami talks about doing somewhat something similar. Like, if we were to have like a left translated cycle, we have the kind of that 80K Bitcoin fake out that he talks about all the time on his streams. Is that if you give it a 70% chance of it happening, maybe you take 70% off the table, or maybe you only give a 30% chance of that fake out happening, and you take 30% off the table. And that way, if it happens, you remove some money out of the ecosystem. But if it doesn't happen, you got some money still in the ecosystem to capture the opposite end of the trade. And so, it's I like that, man. I like it a lot, because it's you're positioning your economic energy by percentages and probabilities.
Yep. A lot of this game is psychological, man. It's just managing your emotions to not do something rash or crazy, or to make sure that you're not making. I don't think it's about making the right decisions. I think it's about making decisions that you can live with. I think that's really what this game is, because I don't think it's really possible to make the right decision 100% of the time. But if you can make a decision that you can live with, that increases the probability that the next decision you're going to make is a better decision than not. Because when you're under some kind of psychological distress, high emotions, the chances of you making a bad decision goes up. So if you can make decisions that can decrease that emotional volatility going forward in the future, that will overall increase the average decision. What's what I'm looking for? That your decision, the average like success of your decisions will go up if you're making decisions that you can live with, because your emotional volatility has gone down.
Oh wow, yeah, I love that.
I haven't heard about this, but I've heard a couple of people in the chat talk about it. Goldfish, he says, lack of PLX burn over the past 2 days seems to have completely stopped.
Has it?
I'm not aware of that.
Me neither. Why would it have it stop? The only reason why it would stop is if activity stopped on Pulsechain. Do you have a way to look at that stuff?
Well, so I think the way most people look at it is on gopulse.com or PLS burn. And I'm looking at it right now. I don't see pull up my screen. I don't see a chart of the burning at all, so I can't see.
It should tell you, like, we were like at 350 billion. There it is. And so, yeah, elaborate. Did you see that it was only at 376 a couple days ago? Is that why it's staying?
I think
he's saying it's staying at 377 billion burn for 2 days now.
So that's probably a UI issue with GoPulse.com than a burning issue. I had to take a guess. Unless Goldfish, you have a way to check on it on chain. I would assume that's a UI issue.
Yeah, you can look on chain if you know how to go do you can go look at it and see. But I mean, that's incredible that we burnt even 377 billion, and we've been out for was it 3 months? A little over.
Yeah.
We're now about 110 days or something. I mean, that's insanity to me. And so the longer we stay lower down here, the more it's going to burn too. Like it's just holy crap, man. I mean, we're going to get a couple trillion burnt before the freaking bull run starts.
I know, right? I think PulseX is a sleeper in that way, and that the important thing about PulseX is that it's buying it first before it's burning. This is something I talked actually a lot about today in my course, where there are two different types of like deflationary assets, or two different types of burning. And the first one that I talk about doesn't actually matter, and that's like where the team mints a bunch of tokens and then they just burn them afterwards. And that burning of the coins was never in the market in the first place. So like the circulating supply actually hasn't changed, or the coins that were in the market stayed the same. So it's just a gimmick to get people to promote the narrative that it's a deflationary token, right? So it's like I burned 50% of the supply, but that supply was like never on the market in the first place. So like it has no effect on the price chart, right? But the buy and burn of PulseX is significant because it's literally taking coins that were on the market in the liquidity pools out of the liquidity pools and burning it, and then adding buy pressure to it at the same time. So like this burning is actually significant in affecting the circulating supply, not just like insignificant burning that just like is for narrative and marketing purposes.
Right. And it's interesting, man. I wonder if that's why, like, anytime I see our ecosystem really starting to take off again, this happened when the XRP case was won. Our ecosystem reacted to it and pumped pretty hard from that news. I noticed that out of all the assets, PulseX was the one that pumped the hardest. And so I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. It was very interesting.
I think it's going to take some time for this burning to actually like have a significant effect on the price chart. But it's like adding kindling to the fire kind of thing, where it's just kind of pushing the train in the direction of going up over time. And then it's a really great narrative at the very least, like to be able to advertise, like, look how much we're burning. And when we get high volumes, like, look, today we burned so much % of the supply. Look how many dollars have left the market forever and are never coming back. Like, it's a really good marketing thing to have. Even if its proportionality doesn't hit, even if its magnitude doesn't hit the price chart per se.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. So have you heard at all? I've only heard the first announcement from Alex, and I know you're a little more in tune over there. Do you know when all that stuff is supposed to roll out?
Yep.
What the kind of the roadmap is, if you will?
Yeah. So the roadmap is that the testnet is aimed to be launched in Q4. So that testnet will be on Pulse V4. And then we'll all test it. We'll see how it works. And I'll probably be making videos on like how to use it and what's going on. I assume there's going to be more details that come out on top of that, because from what I read on Alex's thing on Telegram, that isn't the entire, that isn't everything. It's because he starts it out with it's time I share phase 1 of what I'm working on. So I imagine we probably get some more details on top of it in terms of the mechanics. And then if Q4 is the testnet, then maybe Q1 at middle to end of Q1, beginning of Q2 of next year is when we'll get the launch of it.
Okay.
But that's my guess. I'm speculating just like everybody else. Like I don't have any extra special information, just what Alex posted and what he said on my stream. Like that's all I have to.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, man.
I am too, man. I watched the stream that he came on yours, man. Yeah, it is super innovative, man. That whole concept. I mean, think about it. If he kind of cracks the code of blockchain interoperability, this whole kind of narrative that we've been hearing about, anyways. And people are saying this is like the next narrative for the bull run, right? This whole interoperability. Like if he cracks the code of that and the other builders and founders start following suit, dude, it could be freaking fire, man. I mean, I wish there was a way he could do that with Hex. Can you imagine? Like it wouldn't matter. You could bring over eHex and stake it on Pulsechain. Yeah. Oh my gosh, bro. You want to know? You want to talk about parity? There's your parity.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. There's parity. And I think, man, I really, and this is speculation, but I believe eHedron, pHedron, eIcosa, and pIcosa will reach parity now. So
even if the hexes don't.
Even if the hexes don't, just because of the use cases. The use cases can be done in either chain, no matter what asset you hold. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So no matter what's going on in the ecosystem, it will not affect that parity. It's a speculation.
Well, and you're even seeing it now where like the spread between is much closer than it is between the hexes. Icosa, it's about the same. It's still closer to 2, but Hedron, it's like 2036 on Pulse, and then like 161 on 1618 on Ethereum. So, but like like you're saying, like being able to bid on Pulsechain hex stakes with eHedron, and the fact that only the token number matters, not the dollar value, is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like
they'll fluctuate a little bit, but I just, man, this is it. Dude, he's got the wizard beard, man.
Yep. Well, the cool thing is like when you're doing that, it's actually gonna bring up hex in a way too.
Of course.
Because the value doesn't just flow down, but the value can also flow up. Where if you're getting say eIcosa, eHedron, and eIcosa pumped so far up, like let's say p-hex just like crazy is 100x more valuable than e-hex, right? But you have the situation where pHedron and eHedron and both of the icosas are at parity. Well, if that's the case, the Ethereum assets might be at their ceiling values, right? And so if they're at their ceiling values because they're tracking the pulse chain, they're getting their value from the pulse chain side, pHex, and that value is so magnitude that the Ethereum ones hit their price ceiling, that'll trigger the arbitrage for the Ethereum side to start pumping itself, right? So linking these assets together on the Hedron Icosa side, the value trickles up into the least valuable asset on the chain that's
that would. It's a speculation again, but that could help the gap between the two hexes too.
Yep. If you're getting parity, yeah.
Bro, this is why I hang out with you, dude. This is like because you just like, another light bulb went on today. I was like, oh my god, that's massive, dude. Dude, by lighting the fire underneath this, it's gonna flow because hex is the base layer.
Yep. Exactly. This is the reason why like all of us loved Hedron at the very beginning in the early Telegram chats. Like we were talking about these ceiling prices and like the potential of what it could do for Hex. And I think a lot of people get tripped up because they're like, but it's so valueless. Like it'll never hit these ceiling prices. And it's like, you're missing the point. The point isn't that it's there right now. The point is that it's possible. And that you can get a piece of the system that makes these price positive feedback loops possible. I'm saying possible a lot, but that makes it feasible that it could happen one day in the future. And you want to get a position before it actually happens. Like,
once it happens, you're late to the game if you're trying to buy a position. Then
now really belongs. Mind is blown.
Yeah, my mind is blown.
But yeah, like this does a lot, not just for the Hedron and Icosa system, but this puts value into Hex as well.
Yeah, man, it's so cool, dude. All the other little functionalities that he's throwing in there too, like with the 10x lending now, if you want to do that, the ceiling for Icosa coming down, where if you take if you sell when your HMI stakes now, if we're not at the ceiling price, you'll get your value in Icosa terms, but then it's like staked out. Oh, that was a question. Do you know how long it would stake out the Icosa. As far as, has he alluded to that? How that
don't
mechanic
think
works?
No, we haven't gotten the specific detail on that. I have it up right now. Let me see. So I'll read exactly what he's written. HMI buyback will pay more Icosa if under ceiling price using Hedron borrow leverage. This provides a dynamic ceiling. Extra Icosa from the leverage will be auto-locked into a mining ladder to make this less of a dumpamental. So it seems like it might be split up into multiple stakes, and that they'll be laddered out is what it seems like.
And probably depending how big your HMI stake that you're selling it to.
Yeah. So we don't have exact. I bet that's some of the details we'll get closer to testnet launch. We'll get those.
I don't think he's human, bro.
Hey, I'm lucky that we have someone like Alex, so I have things to talk about. Like, you freaking built my brand around this stuff, man.
It is the Alex and the Buck and the KDPs and these guys are the ones building. Even the protocols like Mintra and others. This is how I myself, doesn't mean I'm not giving financial advice. Got to be careful with my words always. But this, for me, myself, and my own reassurance, how I know that we are in the right place at the right time, man. There is no other ecosystem like this.
Yeah, 100%. And I know from listening to you and Dan a lot, I know a big thing that you guys talk about whenever you talk about Hedron or Icosa is more utility for Icosa. It's like, yeah, it's really great, but if we could just get some utility, it would just like skyrocket it. And now we're starting to get in the first iteration or the first phase of some of that extra utility. So
exactly.
It's good news.
And the guy, he seems to have so many things up his sleeve that I have no idea what's going to come out in the future. I know he had talked about, and I don't know if it's still on the table, some kind of rocket pool fork where the Icosa token could be used as, I guess, the insurance token. I'm not sure how that works, but some kind of insurance token. And so it'd be interesting to see if he still got that on the table or not. And maybe he does. Maybe he wants to complete this new iteration of the Icosa and Hedron contract, get that like solidified, up and going, the new and improved, better version, and then he can come out with any other utility use case for these tokens. And man,
it makes sense for him to do it that way, because if he knows that he's going to upgrade the stuff, he needs to get the upgrade done so that he can plug that into the new stuff. So this I see why this is phase one, because it's like, okay, this is the groundwork. We're unifying everything. And, for the rocket pool thing, using Icosa as the collateral, I know people were asking, is he use eIcosa or pIcosa? Well, I think the answer is probably obvious now. Both. It's going to be both.
No matter.
Yeah.
Right. And he can get in there and change any other things that he may have needed to change for the code, like the stuff that's way over my head, that can make it where it has the utility for this stuff. I don't know. Right. And I know another thing he's doing too. I remember he mentioned, the sea creature bonuses that we were getting as an Icosa staker.
That's
coming back.
Yeah. Fixing the problems. Yep.
I love it, man. Yep. I love it.
Yeah, Willie Beeline, good point. All this with no sack. Damn.
Yep. Once again, man, leading with value.
This is a good point. Just kind of a PSA for everybody who holds Poly. You'll be able to redeem your Poly for 1.1 Hedron on the new contract. That's kind of like the base rate of Poly. So he's saving the Poly people too. The Poly people, not saving the Poly people, but he'll have an avenue for the Poly people to get their tokens, because the maxi contract will mint the old Hedron, not the new one. So you'll be able to exit out of that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I wish I would have kept my Poly, because I would have got a way better deal in that scenario than.
Yeah. Yeah, this is exciting, man. And it's giving me I have so much content to talk about now, Corey. There's no shortage once all this stuff comes out.
It's gonna get deep, man. It's gonna get real deep, especially when the testnet goes live. It's gonna. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm definitely excited. I'm excited for everything that's happening in the ecosystem. And this is, like I said, and I've said it many times during this show, this is what's giving me the surety that we are in that right place at the right time.
Exactly.
And we're just in a bear market, guys. It's, bear markets suck. We're earning our stripes. We are earning our stripes. You wanted the 1000x, but you didn't want to earn the 1000x. Guess what? You're going to earn the 1000x. You want that 1000x.
Yep, 100%, man. And it is nice that amongst all this, blood and negative sentiment, negative macro, we just had a whole 30-40 minute conversation on things we're excited about that's happening in the community.
Absolutely.
And that hasn't even scratched the surface of what's coming. Like, we've only talked about a really small subset of stuff. And I know there was a comment up here. Let me see. This is Jacob. He says, every other word that comes out of this dude's mouth is fucks. And I was like, well, that's like the only thing that's out right now, man. Like, there's only so much to talk about with only like one or two things to launch.
And it's a great protocol. I love it, man. Yep. It's I'm having a blast in there. Playing with all the different pools and compounding the yield, and yeah, man, it's a great protocol for our ecosystem. And what those guys are doing over there is phenomenal. He's bringing useful tools that worked in the Ethereum world that people, that had a use case, right? Product market fit. We always heard Richard talk about product market fit. This is what that stuff is. It's stuff that's proven itself, that product market fit on Ethereum. So why wouldn't it have product market fit on Pulsechain? Well, it does.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you got to give them credit where credit's due. Of all the sacrifices, even the RH ones, they've done the best. The people who did the original fiat sacrifice, I think, have probably done the best out of everybody in the whole ecosystem so far. So
yep.
Got to give them credit for that.
I wish I'd done. I wish I'd have sacked more. I was fortunate that I got in on it, but I didn't. I wish I'd have done more.
Yeah. I missed it. I missed it completely. I got into famous, but not fiat.
Yeah,
man. But all right, well, we've got a solid hour, man. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Oh man, just keep your chin up. Keep the remember why you're here. Remember that this is just a bear market like any other bear market. We have to earn our stripes to get to the other side. Like I said before, you wanted the 1000x, but you didn't want to earn the 1000x. Well, now you're going to earn that 1000x by being here, by being resilient, and man. And it's the community that really keeps this whole thing alive. People like Sloth, people like Franklin, people,
like you.
Thanks, man. Randy Holarski. I see Randy's mom in the chat. These are the people who are why I'm here. You know what? It was a crazy thing. Me and Dane had took note on something. When we first got into real estate, what it did for us is it created friends and community all over the United States for us. So like I basically travel almost to any state, and I know a real estate investor that I can go have lunch with, or maybe he might even have an Airbnb I can stay at. And so that's what real estate did for us. You know what crypto did for us?
International.
It created community and friends all over the world. Absolutely amazing. And I'm talking about beautiful people too, man. It's just been such a fun journey, and it's going to be even more fun come next year.
Yeah, dude. I mean, from the course I did, the people who came live, I think they were all internet. I don't think anybody was from the U.S.
And that's so cool.
It's crazy. It's awesome. But well, Corey, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really value your opinion, your perspective, and your time. I appreciate it a lot.
So our show too. We would love you to come back on our show.
I am happy to come on whenever I can.
We can have Dane, and we can rap for a while about Icosa. Definitely, as we get closer to Icosa and Hedron, this even when the test net, we're definitely going to have you back on the show, man, because you're the one who kind of cracks that can of worms open and explains it to us normies like we're 3 years old and makes it make sense. It's like.
Well, I appreciate you the compliment of simple explanations, because I feel like I get too long-winded sometimes. But
it's great, bro.
Man. But yeah, I'd love to come on your show, man. I always have good conversations with you and Dane, and I think you guys are assets to the community just as much as everybody else, and we all benefit from having you guys around. Wow, good show up today, man. 91 people live right now.
Cool.
It's a bear market.
Let's go, Hexicans. Awesome. Well, we're pumping. Everyone woke up and saw 20% pump on PX, and they're like, "We're so back."
Yeah. Oh, hey, wait, this isn't dead? Oh, let me get back online. But yeah, guys, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for coming out, catching the show. If for some reason you wanted to catch the second day of my course that's happening tomorrow at 10 a.m. EST, I got a discount code for you, Sloth50. Just throw that in
guys,
membership, and you'll get into it. So yeah, and you'll have access to the recording. I got that recorded and distributed. About to distribute it to everybody in the Telegram, so you'll have access to that too. But
fire, bro, fire.
Corey, thanks for coming on. Everybody else, I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the green while we have it, and I hope there's more green in your future.
There will be. Peace.
Yeah, peace.